One of the most powerful ways you can upgrade your usage of artificial intelligence is to use skills. No, not your human skills, but artificial intelligence skills that we build or borrow from other experts in order to teach our AI how to work better for us. I'm going to be running through what skills are, how you implement them, and how you build your own skills. And it is not at all technical. It sounds like something that's going to be complex, but it is really basically a text file which gives an AI a set of repeatable instructions. Okay, let's hop in and talk about why and how we're going to be using these skill files. So the main reason we would want to use skills is for a task that we continuously go back and forward with the artificial intelligence with. So let's say we do a report that we write every quarter, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. And each and every time we go back to ChatGPT, we go back to Claude and we say, okay, it's time to write our report. That is a waste of our time. Once we have written that report one time, we have helped to outline the steps, the algorithm, the process that we go through in order to create a very good report. We can actually package all of that information, all of those processes, all of the additional context into something called a skill file. And then we can use repeatedly that skill file to have the AI do the work for us. Super, super useful, especially if it's something that you do on a daily or a weekly basis. You can save a huge amount of time. And this is a very good time to be talking about skills because they have now been implemented directly into ChatGPT. So previously they were in Claude. They were actually invented by Anthropic. And over 2025, so not that long ago, they basically standardized the format and it's split out over into different tools. So it's been in ChatGPT Codex and now, as of very recently, inside of ChatGPT itself. This means that something that used to be the remit of coders or people who actually built software is now generally available. And we can tap into this huge ecosystem of skills in order to get better results from our AI. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Very, very basically, this is me in a ChatGPT chat saying, can you use skill files? This is just in ChatGPT. This is not ChatGPT work. This is not Codex. This is standard ChatGPT. Can you use skill files? Yes. I can read and follow SKILL.md files, including installed plugin skills, skills files in a repository or folder you give me access to, a skill file you paste or upload directly, supporting template scripts and reference files that a skill points to. Now, you'll see this MD a lot, .md. That stands for Markdown, which is basically a type of text format. It looks technical, it is not. These are text documents, and I'll show you what one looks like inside in a moment. So what I've then gone on to say is, hey, cool. Can you go and grab this one? This is it's a skill file that I created myself and it's hosted on this particular page. And what it does, and I'll pull it up for you, is it helps to detect AI writing and to remove some of the most egregious examples. Things like it's not X, it's Y, a negative parallelism, which shows up in AI writing and gives it away immediately. This skill file just strips them out. So this is what a skill file looks like. It is generally a couple of text documents inside of a folder. You're going to have one called SKILL.md. That is going to be your main file. And again, this sounds technical, it is not. And then we might have a README. This is what README is here. It basically says this is what it does. I'm just going to open up the SKILL.md to show you what a skill actually is. So inside, it is basically text. It is a list of instructions that the AI is going to read. So it says this is what it is. It is a second pass checker that flags AI writing tails in a draft and produces a clean rewrite. It's got a couple of modes that it works in. Here's a catalog of the AI tells. Structural tells, things like negative parallelisms, not X, it's Y, bullet points, overuse of them, rules of three, my God, AI loves that, etc., etc. And you can see that all I've done is put into this text file a list of AI tells, a list of things that AI should watch out for if it is helping me to write something that doesn't sound like artificial intelligence. So it goes on and on and on like this. And then at the end, there'll be a little bit about workflow, how the skill is going to be deployed, what the AI should actually do. So read it fully, do not skim, do a parse and flag up any. I've worked out what this workflow looks like so that it can be repeated by this skill file. And then finally an output format. So this is just an example of a skill file. What I want to show you is that a skill file is basically a text document that you give to an AI with a set of instructions that are going to be repeated again and again and again. That's it. It's not code. It is not complicated, it is not massively multifaceted, it is just a text file for the most part. So you can actually flesh them out. So you might have a skill.md, which is what I just showed you, a text file that has a list of instructions. But you might also give it references. You might give it assets. So you could put in the folder visual assets, for example, like always use this logo, always use this color palette. And you could have a PDF of your color palette as an example, and then potentially even bits of code for it to run. You can package them all up into a folder, and that folder is what the AI is going to pull in and use for your repetitive work file. But it also allows us to have a library of different skills that the AI is able to pull from at any point. So I like to think of it as when an AI is doing a task, it can skim the spines of all of these books, books on the shelf, which are the different skills that we have provided to it, the ways we have told it to operate. And when it sees a skill that it thinks would be useful for a particular task, it's going to pull on that skill and use it. You can also manually invoke it. You can say, hey, I want you to use my AI tells skill. Hey, I want you to use my brand voice skill, and it will go ahead and do that. Or you can even invoke them using kind of commands inside of ChatGPT as well. There's lots of different ways to do it. And once it's loaded up that skill, it will run through the process. So again, it will run through things like this. So it's looking at the workflow. It's like, okay, this is how I do it. This is the information I'm going to be using, and it will complete the action for you. It will go ahead and execute. So you can, and I highly recommend this, put together a little collection of skills around all of the different things that you do with AI in your work or your business. Everything. I like to think of it a bit like if you are hiring a new staff member, a new employee. Generally, we don't just say, okay, off you go, go and edit my videos, or go and write my newsletter, or go and write this report. Generally, we'd give them an onboarding packet, and we would give them a set of instructions telling them how to do that task. Exactly the same with a skills file. Very, very powerful stuff, especially now it's in ChatGPT. Now, a skills file can live in multiple places. The newest place that has just been added is directly into ChatGPT. As I showed you, it can now load it into a chat. That's really cool. You can also put them in your memory. You can put them in projects. So a project will keep drawing on the similar skills. You can build agents using skills. In fact, this is one of the main reasons we use skill files. We can put them inside of a plugin and then add that plugin into various chats, or you can actually build them into servers as well. So they can be at many, many different levels, but it is a standard format that is used across all of these different ecosystems. And excitingly, and this is what's relatively new, whereas they used to be in Claude, and Claude Code in particular, they've now broken out of the ecosystem, and you can use them in ChatGPT, you can use them in Codex, you can use them pretty much everywhere. It's become a standard that we can use across all of our different AI tools. They know how to access and use skills, which is awesome because people have made gigantic directories of skills that we can borrow on, and we can find skills. So for example, there is, and it gets a bit meta, there's something called Find Skills or Skill Finder. So I've said, could you load in Skill Finder? And ChatGPT says, yep, I've loaded in Versal Labs Find Skills skill. This is a skill that helps you find other skills, if that makes sense. I can find the best skill for YouTube thumbnails. That will now go and find other skills for me. So yes, it's very meta. We're using a skill to find skills because the skill is loaded with all of the best skills, or where to go and find the best skills, and then it will install these other skills. It is skills all the way down, and that is now going to install that into the chat. And it's looking at lots of different versions. So you can come to an original repo like this if you are comfortable. So this is my AI Tells repo. And you can grab the URL for this, the web address, chuck it into chat and say, hey, I want you to use this. Or obviously, if you're more comfortable, you can pull into your project, etc., etc. There are lots of different ways to do this. Or in most cases, you're just going to ask ChatGPT to do this for you. Ask Claude to do this for you. So it does not need to be technical at all. What should you use skills on? Not your whole business. Many people find out about skills and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to put everything I do, everything that I do on a daily basis, all of my workflows, all of my business tasks, I'm going to put them into a skill, and this skill is going to run my business. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to be too heavy and it's going to run into problems. Maybe in a year or so, this will be possible, but right now it's much better to create discrete skills that do discrete tasks. So they do their own little tasks. You might have a little skill which is produce a client update. You might have a skill which is create a YouTube thumbnail for me. You might have a skill which is go through my analytics once a week, see what's working, see what's not working, and provide a report, send it over to my WhatsApp. These are all individual tasks. If we try to glom them all into one skill, we're going to start running into problems where the model doesn't have enough memory, the model doesn't know what to focus on, the model will get hyperfixated on certain areas, and it doesn't really work. So it's much better to create these small skills for small tasks, and then you can string those together. So you can actually have a meta skill which runs all of the sub skills one by one by one by one, taking the output of one as the input of the next, etc., etc. That's how you could build your entire business using skills if you want to. It is possible, but don't just try to make one skill that does everything, because it's going to collapse under its own weight. Now, how do you actually make skills? You could create a folder on GitHub like this, create a skill.md, manually create a readme.md, and then sit down and type out all of the instructions. Yes, you could 100% do that and attach the context, any documentation, any code, etc. That is one way to do it. You can also just tell AI what you want to create. So you talk to artificial intelligence. I personally use my microphone and say, hey, I want to make a skill that does such and such and such. And you just talk through what the skill should do, what the inputs are going to be, what kind of process it should go through, what are the constraints, what you consider a good output from it. You're just going to talk it through. A really powerful method is to ask it to interview you. So you say, hey, I want to make a thumbnail making skill that creates thumbnails for my YouTube channel using ChatGPT image gen, for example. Interview me on what a good skill would look like, and then ChatGPT is going to go through that process, interview you, get the information it needs, and then build that skill for you. And it will create everything, it will structure everything as you need, it will connect context, it will write code, everything required to create a good skill file for you. So that is one way to do it. The other way to do it is to go through the process manually. So go through the work process. So let's say I am using a ChatGPT chat to create a thumbnail, a YouTube thumbnail. And let's say inside of that chat, maybe we've gone through multiple iterations, and it's a lot of me swearing at Codex saying, no, that's rubbish. I've got 6 fingers. Don't do that. Why have you done that? That's the wrong font. There's a lot of back and forth with us working out what the final product looks like. But then we finally get to a thumbnail where I'm like, okay, good, cool. Well done, Codex. You've done a good job. Well done, Claude. You've done a good job. At that point, you can then say, okay, I want you to look at everything that we've gone through, all of the discussions, all of the dead ends, all of the failures, all of the times I sweared at you. I want you to go through all of that. Do an assessment, and then use that process we've just been through to write a clean skill file. So you're going to work out the workflow that worked eventually, and you're going to build it into a skill file that we're going to use moving on from now. And then whenever you do create a skill file, whether you've talked to your AI and got it to build for you, or you have encapsulated an existing process, an existing chat into a skill file after the fact, make sure you test it. You're going to test it a few times. You're going to run dummy processes. You're going to run fake thumbnails. You're going to run fake newsletter drafts, whatever it is you're doing. Run it through the skill a few times and give feedback. So it's going to get it wrong the first time. So you're going to sit down and be like, okay, you did this part well, you did this part poorly. So I want you to rewrite the skill file. I want you to change everything, or the process and the workflow and the context as required so that we can get a better output. And you're just going to give feedback, and you're going to do that a few times until you're happy with the output of the skill file. And once you are, that's going to be something that you can build into your workflows, whether it's in chat, whether it's going to be in some kind of automation, some kind of agent. You'll be able to know that that is a secure skill file that does the work consistently all of the time, and you can step back. So skill files and skills are one of the most slept upon parts of artificial intelligence, probably because up until very recently, they've been in Claude Code and they've been in Codex. So they have been generally ignored. Now that they are in ChatGPT itself, hopefully, a lot more people will be waking up to the power of skill files. So if you look below this video, when it's later published on YouTube, because I'm live at the moment, if you look below this video, there's going to be a guide which will help you get started. pointed in the right direction, basically a summary of everything that I've covered and a checklist to building your first skills. I'll also give you the link for my skill, my AI tell skill, so you can see what it looks like and have an example, and point you in the direction of some other resources where you can download skills as well. Fantastic. Make sure you're subscribed to aiwithkyle.com, to the newsletter, if you want to continue receiving guides like this, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel. I am Kyle Barmer on YouTube. Thank you so much.